hotter the conflict, the greater the triumph.
A fiercest serpent may be overcome by a swarm of ants.
Lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. Age wrinkles the body, quitting wrinkles the soul.
Battle Buddies.
Battle
7X. The future of rock and roll. We're coming to you live from Vacaville, California. Where is it? Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Do we not have any famous people from Vacaville?
Papa Roach?
Papa Roach!
Anthony Swafford, the dude who wrote Jarhead. He's from Travis Air Force Base.
That's right. Josh Kadoo. He's not famous, but he went to high school with him. He played NFL for a while.
He's not famous.
He was just a cool guy.
Yeah,
He's one of those success stories.
dude,
you know,
Dylan Christensen?
he was he played in the NFL. Like he was he also played at Oregon, and then he played in the NFL. So like for I don't know, it's kind of famous, and if you like Oregon in the NFL,
Well, Dylan Christensen went to Rodriguez, and he's not
fuck
famous.
Dylan. Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I love Dylan.
Dylan's probably cool.
Yeah, mostly Dylans are usually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I feel like
they're
most
chill.
Dylans that I meet, good. Shout out to the Dylans out there.
Dylan's gonna be wild cards though.
That's what's so fun.
Sometimes.
I don't appreciate it when people call Dylan Dill.
I don't know
like
anybody.
that.
I've never heard that in my life. A dill? Come over here, dill.
I'm just saying it. Yeah, so that would bother you.
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
So we're on the same page. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 4
Part 4.
of the Iliad.
We're gonna call this the penultimate. I'm putting the next 2 parts together.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yep.
We were just getting rolling.
Yeah. We'll just do a big episode. I just want to do a big episode to end it.
Tight. All right. Yeah, I like it. So
Yeah.
5?
5. I like 5 as my number.
5 should be the number.
Because I feel like after 5, I'm asking people to do a lot of tracking the episodes. Like in Dan Carlin, like when I get to like 8, I'm like, am I on 7 or 8? Roman numerals get confusing when you're when you're listening to it and you're sleepy.
Yeah, after our Masters of the Air series, which was really truly magnificent.
It was dope.
We were like, we have to have a cap.
Yeah.
And our cap is 5.
I think 5. Because then however much is left, I just put that into the super episode. Because the people that are
If you
episode
made
5,
it here, you made it
yeah, I was
here.
gonna say people that make it when I make it episode 5 of any series, I'm like, just send all of it now. Like I am fully locked in at this point. Like I've clicked 5 of your episodes.
Yep.
I get what you're doing.
Previously on the Iliad.
Yeah, Iliad. Well, last time we were talking about like who is Odysseus in real life.
Yeah.
Robespierre maybe.
Fuck. Who are you talking about?
One of the politician guys from the French Revolution.
It's disappointing. Oh, okay. So a historical figure.
Yeah.
Who did you say?
Robespierre, isn't that his name? Fuck if I know.
Robespierre?
So, like,
you should have seen your face, how relieved you were when you came up with, oh, I forgot. I got to tell you this name that you're not going to understand.
Well, because he plays the French Revolution, very complicated. I don't know if you know this.
I don't.
Every time I try to learn about the French Revolution, I'm like, I don't understand it.
It's a blind spot
Since
for me.
I've been like 18 and Wikipedia existed, I've looked it up. I remember like, because like a smart kid will say something like, fuck, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
like
for
I'll
sure.
go home, wait for my dial up to dial in and go to Wikipedia.
Of course.
And be like, what the fuck's the French Revolution? And I read it, I'm like, I know less than when I'm honestly more confused.
Magna Carta?
Yeah.
What?
Jesus.
Yeah. There's a lot of information out there, dude.
So anyway, complicated during the time too.
Mm-hmm.
Robespierre kind of like navigated that shit. He called out a lot of stuff. He's like, hey, if we do this, we're fucking up because of this. That's kind of an Odysseus move, right? Like being like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who. I still don't know who in modern times. Somebody who is alive.
Someone who's alive.
Yeah.
There's a moment. Obama's State of the Union. Do you ever watch Obama's State of the Union address? His like first one.
I think Obama was a great public speaker.
So that's what I'm saying. He's kind of like he had like. I used to say to students, especially when I was teaching at Cal State Long Beach, it was like a Cicero moment. Like, it's he achieved that part of oration that we kind of avoid now and we don't really even teach. But like he'll talk about family and then kind of turn his hand and you see a wedding ring, like holy fucking shit.
I also we noticed this in the intel world when we were serving under Obama, that when he would get interviewed on the news, he was really good at touching someone's like leg and like, wait, no, hold on. And he would touch their leg and they would be like, whoa. And they would actually like stop and listen to him. And it's like, that's tight. You don't see politicians. I mean, Joe Biden gets a little too handsy, right?
Damn.
Doesn't he?
Oh, we're two white guys doing a podcast making fun of Joe.
Edgy.
Look how far we've come.
East side here. Battle buddies. Joe Biden.
He would make me uncomfortable.
Is a walking meme. I don't know, man. I had this first sergeant, but he was from Texas. He had like a missing tooth. He was the dopest, kindest motherfucker on the face of the earth. And the way that he would come and say hi is he would like put his massive Texas hands on your neck and just start really getting in there. He would start massaging your neck. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just like, everything's good for a sergeant. Oh, yeah, that right there about feels good.
Sure. I have not had that experience.
What I'm saying is
I wasn't in the military.
We should just open up more, man.
You were really open to that first sergeant. If walls could talk. All right, we ended the last episode with just some push and pull. We had the Trojans cut into the lines of the Greek camps.
Mm-hmm.
And things are fucking heated. So, like, I think we ended last time with, like, Hector breaking through that part of the wall. I think actually the first guy...
You showed us on the totally accurate battle simulator.
Absolutely. I think the first guy through the wall was Sarpedion, but that isn't really important.
Sarpedion.
It's still Hector's, like, thing that he did, you know? Okay, so we go into book 13. The battle's raging. This book 13, 14, and 15 today are some of like the goriest shit you will read.
Okay, so like right now, Willem Dafoe is chilling in an alleyway and he's like orchestrating and he's about to be like, there was a firefight.
Yes, there was a fucking firefight. But also like other Willem Dafoe movies, like him becoming the Green Goblin. Like or oddly scary.
Or when he's in Life Aquatic and he says, get him out of the fucking water.
Oh man, William Dafoe.
I love Willem Dafoe.
Him and his huge penis.
Is that a thing?
You don't know all the huge penis stories? Oh my god, directors, because all like my friends that were film students used to always like tell me their little inside things, and they're like, William Dafoe. Do you know how big his penis is?
I don't know about this.
I guess when he was shooting like the Antichrist, one of the like early like crazy cocaine movies, that they had to use. The story is they used
The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah, Antichrist, same thing. They used a prosthetic penis because his penis was too big. It was too unbelievable on scene. Which is totally William Dafoe energy. Right? Like that gives such
Dude's
William
got
Dafoe.
a massive hog. I did not know that. Okay.
That's how the story is. But you know, if you had to have a rumor about you, there's worse ones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay. The fight is pretty intense. We're going to see like a focus on the left flank from the Greeks. Like their left side kind of gets hit. We have some cool descriptions of battle skirmishes. We're getting a lot of that kind of language there. It's pretty good, but I don't want to focus too much on that yet. I want to focus more on some of the wacky stuff. Book 13 also has some of the worst language that Homer gives us throughout the whole book.
What do you mean worst language?
Like
naughty language?
No, like the narrator, like the translator, the guy that I've been reading on this attempt. He's like, not his best.
Okay.
He's really reaching here.
Really?
And his big slight against Homer is he says, even Homer nods. Saying like he nods off while writing.
What?
Yeah.
What's the issue here?
We'll come to that. It's some Hector stuff that comes later.
Okay.
I love it though. I love when an
misses
academic
here.
like fucks with each other. Like, you're nodding here, man. Like Nottingham. Is that a place?
Yeah.
Sure.
Nottingham.
What happens though is that we get the Earth Encircler, which is of course Poseidon. And Poseidon is a little pissed off because he likes...
Earth encircler?
Isn't that dope? The water encircles... The oceans encircle the earth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? At first, you're like, this is dumb, and then you realize what he's saying. Right?
I just didn't understand
yes,
it.
absolutely.
Okay.
Me either. When
All
I,
right, cool.
I
like
read
it
like
now.
8 times.
Earth encircler.
Because he doesn't always say Poseidon. Sometimes he just says Earth encircler, and I have to stop reading, which sucks, and think about what he's saying.
Yeah.
So he joins the Greeks. He joins their battle line, kind of. He's in disguise at first. And he's just going to kind of give some, inspiration to men. We've talked about this, right? The God-given stuff, the muses in your walls. The gods can do it. Gods will just be different people and just say the right or the wrong word at the right time.
Ooh, gods can say wrong words.
Well, they can say the right word to make you do the wrong thing.
Ooh.
Because they'll talk about it. We'll have Zeus messing with people towards the end to keep the prophecy in line. And Homer, I didn't write it even down, but Homer says a couple times, like, no one can, you can't stop the passion of doing this thing if Zeus puts it in you to do it. So thus the earth encircler's commands urged on the Achaeans, and about the 2 Ajaxes the ranks assembled, in strength such as Ares himself would not fault if he came among them, or Athene, the host rallier. For these were the pick of the best that now awaited the Trojans and noble Hector, spears in serried rows, bucklers pressed against bucklers, shields overlapping, helmets by helmets, men packed so tightly the horsehair crests on their gleaming boss of their helmets nudged as they bent their heads. So close were their ranks and spears, brandished in bold hands, intermingled a woven lattice. Their minds were unswervingly set on battle.
Yeah, so carnage is about to go down.
And it's a phalanx, right? We can totally see this description as a classic phalanx maneuver.
Yeah, there's some shitty episodes that Battle Buddies have about the phalanx, right?
Some of our best.
Some of our best. There's no disclaimers before that episode whatsoever.
Shields overlapping, right? So we're seeing definitely the phalanx idea, and the helmets being super close. And so that gives us something that we didn't talk about on the 300, which is how close are the ranks between them. And this is saying, if you're about to hit, like if you're actually going to slowly approach and you think there's going to be like a push-pull, you're really fucking close. Which is interesting.
Makes sense.
I don't think the Romans were that close. I think the Romans had a set distance. Although, which part of Roman?
I would much prefer closed ranks,
Yeah,
like a closer situation. Oh my goodness.
But I
much
think
more.
Early Roman... It's so hard to even talk about Roman stuff because people just love it, so they know all of it. But, Roman military changes a lot through the course of the history of Rome.
Right.
And I think by the end, they're like using whistles and stuff. Like they
have
like regimented
Let's go.
things. Like swing twice, move to the back.
Yeah, some wheels and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes sense for them.
I fucking love learning about Rome, dude.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Okay, I'm not going to go through all of the carnage, because we're going to go through a lot of fucking carnage. I don't know why I'm even saying that. We're going through a lot of the carnage. Here's a sample of the carnage when these 2 battle lines hit. So you have the Trojans and the Greeks coming together, and we're going to get a dude's head getting chopped off, which is a lot of fun. They're like fighting over a body. The Ajaxes, both of them, they kill that dude. Out of rage for Oileus' son, cut Imbrios' head from his tender neck, swung his arm, and threw the head off into the crowd like a ball, and it fell in the dust right at Hector's feet. So we get the initial clash. We get a Trojan officer coming over, and Ajaxes, they're ready for it, and they just fucking lop the dude's head off, throw it back to Hector, and be like, what's next, friend?
That's tight.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
That's pretty cool.
There's a lot of that. There's gonna be a ton of battling over bodies in these chapters or these books.
Battling over bodies meaning the body is dead and they're trying to get the body back?
So it's weird to us to understand how important a ruler's body is. But if we both had a king and that king died in battle, we would gladly die trying to get back our king's body. And the other side would gladly lose lives trying to either disfigure the body if we felt like there was a case for that, or at least strip his armor for valuables. So you get a lot of people, they'll chop off someone's head and then immediately just start ripping the armor, and then somebody else will come in and stab that dude, and then it's just a huge pile of bodies.
I love that when Custer died, they didn't even know it was him.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. That
And-
fits.
Yeah.
He wanted a classical, it's not there.
No.
Nope. Okay, we get some fun stuff here. So this battle's taking place. Although that sounds like it's going for the Greeks, the Trojans are actually kind of fucking kicking ass. And Poseidon's in disguise. So he's talking to another Greek officer, and he's kind of telling him that even when weak dudes get some resolve and are met under good leadership, they can still do good things, even though they're weak assholes.
That's true.
And I don't disagree with
That
this.
is very, very true. Can you express that differently?
Well, I can just give you the quote. When the weakest men unite, their valor's augmented, but we too know how to fight even against the best. So if you have good leadership, doesn't matter if you are lacking as the person under them. Like, they can carry that load for you.
Dang.
Which I agree with, absolutely.
I actually kind of need to hear that as a teacher.
As a
who
teacher,
is
right?
Yeah, teachers are 100. Good teachers are leaders.
Yep.
Through and through. And I think that is a good lesson to learn.
Yep. Many times, because you can't keep that lesson every day. It's too hard.
Well, not unless you're Bernardo Galvez.
Dang. You can.
Yeah, some people can, dude. Remember what Josh said? He was like, he would laugh at me if I asked him how he kept it together
Right.
during the hard stuff, and I was like, why would he be upset? He's like, because that's not an option. For
But
him.
isn't he too far into the Yo Solo? He's so far into Yo Solo that he doesn't even realize the value of the people around him.
Whoa.
Right? Can't you go too far into that? And for people that don't understand, we're talking about the Spanish conquest against Britain's occupation of Florida
Mm-hmm.
during the American Revolution, which I guess was a fucking thing.
In 1781, yeah, we have an episode on it. Siege of Pensacola. Go check it out. But yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know. I think Josh would say that Galvez surrounded himself with really good generals, much
He
like
did.
Napoleon.
He had really good generals, and he had good tacticians. Okay, well, I can't get into all that, but you are right.
We have a cool podcast, and you guys should listen to our show. Our episodes are cool, man.
This is just like a funny aside, but when Poseidon says that to the guys Idomeneus,
Wait, sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
You said that Poseidon is in a disguise?
Yeah.
So can you explain this disguise to me?
he's literally just pretending to be a Greek officer that
But
everybody
isn't
would
he
know.
like...
They can change their shapes at will.
Is that how it goes? Okay.
So
I'm like imagining a fish man with like a bunch, and they're like, "Oh, what's up, bro? You're a Greek." And he's
No.
like got water and like see things like spewing out of his eyeballs, and it's like, is it not clearly Poseidon? He's like, I have a disguise.
there is like a part. It's funny in some of these myths, like the Iliad, because there's so many like demigods and gods and born of gods shit. That like it's like late game Marvel stuff. Like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we all know what's up. Like we can all of us have the ability to see gods at this point, so it's not really a thing anymore. So there are times when everybody's like, "You're pretending to be my uncle who's long dead. Obviously, you're a god. I'll listen to you."
Got it.
But not right now. Idomeneus, he takes Poseidon's lesson to heart, and he goes around. He just starts walking around the Greek camp, finding people he thinks is like that are hiding from fighting, and trying to rally them up.
That's cool. Hey, quit being a pussy.
Yes, he finds one guy, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy's like, "I lost my spear," and he gives the great response where he's just like, "Hey, don't even worry. I got a load of spears in my tent right there. Just go grab one. They're all Trojan spears because I'm out there fighting and killing Trojans, and I collect their spears. So just take as many as you want."
So don't be a pussy.
Well, and I like this approach. This is my approach with teaching all the time. I'm not calling you a liar, even though you're lying. I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong because I'm not making a value judgment. I'm saying, here's the answer to your problem.
Yeah. You're skipping all of it and
Yes.
saying, no worries. I have the solution. There you go.
Yep.
That's why like white lies are hilarious sometimes because like this will get me out of it. It's like, Nope. I
Yep.
have a solution to your cute little lie
Yep.
that you just said.
Yes. And my solution, you have to take. Because if you don't take it, then you're admitting to being in dum-dum.
Pussy. When I say that in post, can you make my voice echo when I say pussy?
Yes.
Pussy.
I think. I need to get better. Now that I have a soundboard, I can like boop, boop,
Yeah.
do all that. Maybe I should put it right here.
I need echoes every once in a while.
I have been thinking about that. Maybe I just need to put it right here. And now I can twist my knobs.
Fraser Crane, make it happen.
Let's do it. Okay, they continue with their conversation, these two, and they end up actually having a pretty cool conversation about how to use reserve troops. Because that guy is an
Sick.
officer, and they're talking about, okay, we're rallying all these weak cowards that are not the best of the best.
Reserve troops. Let's talk reserve troops.
So where do you put your reserve troops? Do you put it in the line that's winning? Because remember, there's essentially three parts of a line in an infantry skirmish line. You have your left flank, you have your middle, and you have your right flank. And we know that the left flank is the weak one right now. So do you... Right now, in what we understand about military conflict at this time period, the answer is protect your weak flank, I think, almost every time. But it's interesting because that's what they end up doing. But once we get to like Alexander the Great, it's hammer and anvil, which is you make your flank really fucking good and, try to get them before they get you with their hammer, which is totally different, right? That becomes way more asymmetrical with your battle line.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing the difference. And that's why I think these books are cool. Being able to see that, like, oh, this is what they value as a line. Although maybe it's moved back to that. I think it's probably moved back to that, right?
Did we covered the 3 in reserve lines in your Caesar Gallic War series?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting because you and I had not taken into account reserve lines. You're like, turns out it's all about reserves.
That's what Caesar was talking about. He kept his 1/10th legion, I think, right? Back. It was either 10th or the 7th.
Yeah,
He
because he
fucking
knew.
loved him.
And so that's interesting. And you're saying that it would be best in what we do in modern times is that we would give our reserve best to the one that needs the most help.
No, I'm saying classic. The way that I am understanding it is Homer is saying you give your reserve to your weak line to balance you out because you're doing a phalanx. And what I said, why that's interesting to me is that once we get to Alexander the Great, it doesn't really seem to be like that's the military tactic anymore. So only a couple hundred years later, you're going to go to giving your reserve lines to your flank that will flank them, because if you can hit them hard enough, they have to surrender.
Yeah, so you would almost consider this like a blitz situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, what is our terms here? That
Tempo, control, and aggro.
So aggro.
Yes.
Got it.
Whereas right now it looks classically like it's more about tempoing and more about controlling.
Man. This episode's got a lot of references, folks. I hope you're like, this is for the deep Battle Buddies lore fan out there. Like we're pulling out a lot today.
Fuck Halsey.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
It's funny because it's an inside joke. Go listen to our Battle of Lady Eagle.
Okay, they also talk about in this exchange that I just want to cover real quick because it's fun. They talk about cowardice and how you can spot it in a soldier. So they said you can spot cowardice because it's revealed through their anxiety. A coward can't sit still. A coward's complexion changes. And he said, a brave man is unchanging. The man he said this to is hardened for battle. Like, you will not see a complexion change. That dude is sitting stoically, accepted his fate, accepted his odds. He did his math, his human math about his odds of succeeding or not succeeding, and was okay with it, and now is ready to go do what he is told to do.
Damn, that's hella interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember in the second phase of boot camp, second phase is where you go up to Camp Pendleton, you learn how to shoot, and we would sit on these bleachers, and we would listen to, our instructors teach us about how to use our weapons before we go out and shoot.
Sure.
And I remember this one instructor wanted to make a point about staying relaxed while the gun is settling in your shoulder, and he went around to the back of the bleacher and looked for somebody tapping their foot up and down, up and up and down, and he went back around and he pointed at that person. He was like, hey man, come down here. And he showed an example of him with his arm out, and he was like smacking it, and he was just talking to him, like asking him random questions, and then finally he like went past it, and the dude kipped like that as though he was
Yeah.
anticipating it, and he was like, "See how everyone like how he anticipated that." He was like, "You need to like let the rifle kind of like you need to let your body take the kick,
Right.
right? Your body needs to just absorb it." It was so that was us learning how to relax our
Sure.
bodies, and it's just interesting that he chose a person who was jumpy like that
Yep.
to be like, you are going to have a hard time finding a moment to relax.
That's
Obviously, this is the Iliad saying that this is like a cowardice thing. But
the same thing.
The anxiety.
Functionally, it's the same thing, right?
The
'Cause
anxiety is there.
by coward, they mean bad at your job.
Sure.
By coward, you mean you're going to get me killed. And
Yeah.
that bothers me.
Yeah, in war, I guess that would translate.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's interesting because I was reading that as just a stupid it's just a stupid movie trope. Like it's a literary trope that survived the ages.
When you originally read that, that's how you read that? Is that what
because
you're saying?
yeah, like any war movie that I watch, I'm like, all right, who's the giddy guy? And right, so Black Hawk, I'm like, I'm just excited to kill some guys. And right, like
Yeah.
they're always like funneling with their ammo and their clips and stuff. Like, you didn't do this ahead of time, dude. Like, what the fuck you doing? Like on the helicopter's not the time to be doing that.
Just triple checking.
Right. And so it's interesting that, like many tropes, there's a basis for it.
Touche.
I like this. Okay. You know, one of the goals of the Iliad, us covering it, was to hopefully show at least one person the strengths and benefits of reading or understanding like the classics in the world. And this is obviously like a European view, but all classics, in that there's value there. And like the value is like really interesting. It's more than just stories. And one thing here that caught my eye that I wanted to share is we learn about like, you know, their actual history and things that are interesting. We learn about how, and I've not read any analysis on this. This is just from my reading. I was like, oh shit, we know how their ships are made, from like which trees make their ships in this time period, or at least in Homer's time period, because they kind of just tell you it on accident. They were talking about this guy getting hit with a spear in the throat, under the chin, driving the bronze right through, and he fell as falls an oak or white poplar, or a lofty pine tree that up in the mountain shipwrights fell with their newly sharpened axes to serve as the ship timber. So we get here just like a description of how this guy falls dead. Sucks to be that guy. But we get the description being related to
Some oak in there.
yeah, that they climb the mountains to, well, pine. They're saying they like pine that's high up. High altitude pine makes good wood for ships, I guess.
Yeah, perhaps. It's interesting.
It
I
isn't.
don't- Yeah,
I was
don't
like,
know.
because why wouldn't you cut the tree down next to the river? That's what I would have done. 'Cause I'm the
I'm
laziest.
trying to think, like perhaps because the wood up there is just used to moisture,
It could
that
be.
it is more resilient in the water. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's purely just.
But it's
guessing.
cool. And
It
if
is
I'm
cool.
if I'm ever in the show alone, I'm going up to the mountain. I'm chopped down a pine tree.
Yeah, or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And they're like that question pops up.
Or the collapse of society, and we're forced to make our own boats out of trees.
That's the best option, obviously.
Yeah.
That's the more interesting / exciting option.
Okay, we get this in our image here, our great world-class slideshow. We have this picture that Spencer and I tried to have AI make, and they did an okay job, of a spear that's all bloody and shit.
What are we grading AI on this picture?
I'm giving it a
we,
C minus.
We gave it a task and it provided us with a C minus.
We're not allowed to give it an F, so we'll give it a C minus.
We're not allowed.
That's an education joke,
That is
friends.
fun. That's fun. I like it.
Topical. Okay, but I want to give the description. I want you to see this image. Remembering, too, that you're watching this after work, probably. Right? You're listening to Homer talk. After work, you're probably drunk with your buddies.
You're on the streets.
And it's night 2 or 3 at this point, right? So you're liking it. You're coming back to it.
You're bumming some smokes.
Yes, absolutely. You're
Mm-hmm.
their dude at the wedding is giving you a Zen, and you're like, I don't know what this is. And then you take it, you're like, I got a headache from this. That's all I got. This is dumb. And then
Yeah.
now whenever I see,
Yeah, it's not fun.
now what I'm seeing is I'm seeing dads turn away from their kids. I'm like, when we're like at pumpkin patches we were at yesterday, like, why did that dude turn away from his kid like that? And I see him popping his in. I'm like, oh man,
Sad. Yeah.
it's all right. It's better than
Do you?
smoking cigarettes in front of your kids.
Do you, Zen user?
Okay. There's no hate against Zen dads.
Oh, man.
You do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, man. I sometimes, if I'm trying to hit 315 on the squat, I'll shove 2 right up my ass.
I was like, where does this go? Okay. But listen to this image. The gruesome just descriptions. You're drunk with your buddies. It's night 2, night 3 of this story. It tore clean through the bronze corselet that hitherto had kept death from his flesh, but now rasped harshly around the rending spear. He fell with a thud. The spear lodged firm in his heart, which, beating still, sent vibrations out to the spear's butt end. Then at last, mighty Ares stopped its force.
What is this, a Tarantino movie?
Dude, what is that? That's
Yeah,
how this whole section of the book is like this.
Tarantino shit.
It's nonstop. You're like, this is literally just action thriller shit.
It's like, I'm trying to think of another type of movie director that would have something similar of that style. It's such a Tarantino move.
It is a Tarantino move.
I don't know anything else.
No.
Just the way they're talking about the spear just vibrating
Yes.
from this thing. Yeah, that's insane. Some
Yeah,
Mortal
for
Kombat shit.
Listeners that didn't get it, he was describing one guy was ran through with a spear, stabbed the guy's heart. As he's pulling it out, the heart's still beating, and so the whole is beating so hard that the whole spear is vibrating as the guy's pulling it out, which is just metal as fuck. And then the god Ares comes down and stops it with his hand.
No big deal.
No big deal. That would be, if I have to die violently, there's worse ways. Looking at you, Romans. I was reading some Roman shit.
The way they kill people?
You know, I think that in times past and times modern, people are not nice to each other. That's my hot take for today.
Yeah, dude. Historically, that's all we do is fuck around with each other.
And we find out.
And we find out.
We
Correct.
get in this conflict. Menelaus is like back in the fight for a little bit. He wasn't totally out of it, but so he has like an Allah moment, right? His God-given skill moment. He's kind of fucking shit up. He's cool in his descriptions. What makes him different from some of the other heroes is that his spear never ends up killing somebody. He always has to pull out his sword usually and like just go hand to hand with somebody. And I think it shows how we're supposed to see him as like kind of like a manly man. Like he's the dude who does it hand to hand. He does not care.
He's a man's man.
He's a man's man, but not so much like Ajax who just throws rocks all the time.
He's Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I could see a Mel Gibson for sure.
Bearded Mel Gibson.
Yes. But I was thinking about this as like a literary book in this moment because Homer, I realized whenever he's really talking about Menelaus and even Menelaus having this Allah moment, Paris is always in the descriptions a couple pages later doing something else. And so they're always, it's called a foil a lot of the times, like in Crime and Punishment, right? You have your two characters.
Foiled my plan once again.
Yes, just like that.
Okay.
But you know foils like that, you juxtapose two characters against each other. Foils, they're like Harry Potter and the other fuckhead. They're all the same character.
Ron Weasley?
No, who's the bad one?
Snape?
No, not Snape.
Damn. Look at us, dude.
Platinum Blonde. Malfoy.
I gotta be honest, I actually am really proud of us for this moment for not really knowing what the fuck Harry Potter facts.
Oh, this author's aged really gracefully. Jeez.
Well, there it is.
Like Michael Jackson fans over here.
Great books, though.
Yeah.
Great books.
So good. They're all right.
I didn't even... Yeah.
It's fine.
Yep.
We're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I got a children's book of the Iliad and the Odyssey that I'm reading to my kids after we finish The Hobbit. It's a children's illustrated book of the Iliad.
What?
It's really cool. I'll show it to you before we leave.
Do you have a children's version of the Dune?
Oh. No, not yet. Maybe we need to write that.
Yeah, that needs to come.
Okay. Circling back. Paris is also kind of going off. He's having some heroics too. And I think Homer is always doing this to remind us that these two are always to be compared against each other because Menelaus is always using his sword. His spear just doesn't hit sometimes. Shit happens. And Paris is usually just shooting people with bows. And I think we're supposed to definitely read into that.
Yeah.
Although I will say,
You're calling him a little bitch.
Paris does have a better. This episode is Paris's best.
Let's think about this. They're trying to say it's the same thing as from Masters of the Air when Churchill, with the whole UAV thing, was calling Hitler a little bitch because he was like, "You're sending out dudes with these things without even people in them. That's lame. That's not warfare.
Right.
It's the same shit."
Yep. But that's the weird thing about war is you want to have like honor and stuff, but you also just want to win and not die.
Correct.
Very motivating factors.
Yes. Unless you're Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump, then you want to die.
And then you want to die. I almost said Lieutenant Hendricks from Ya Drang, but he did not want to die. He just was really...
He was just a savage.
He was just intense.
He was just a good person.
Not Sergeant Savage. He was
I know.
He was in that platoon. I know. That was me pretending to not understand what you were saying.
Got it.
It's a reference
Look
to
at
another
that.
character.
Another reference of our show,
This is
dude.
really good.
Go check out our episode. Go check our episode on Ya Drang. Solid episodes.
Okay, we get the first of Hector trying to get to the ships. At this point, the Greek line is getting pushed back, right? They're fighting. It's valiant. But Hector's fucking wild. And his leadership is good. He's pushing them back. He's trying to touch the ships. He just wants to touch the boats. And what we know is, don't touch our boats. That's America's motto.
Is it?
Yeah.
Don't touch our boats.
Don't touch our boats!
Don't touch our boats.
That guy, Mandatory Fun Day. Shout out Mandatory Fun Day, influencer. But he
Yeah, he's a huge fan of our show.
he loves our show. He would love our show.
He would.
But
He's funny.
he is funny, and he has a Navy joke of "Don't touch our boats," which I really like. And all he says is "Don't touch our boats."
Well,
I really like
don't.
this.
For real, don't.
So that's the thing is, like, yeah, don't touch our fucking boats,
Bro, the Navy will fuck you up.
So whenever he goes over, he's like, "Don't touch our boats."
Yeah. Navy doesn't fuck around like that.
No, you can look at them unless they're underwater. Don't
touch
get
you.
close to them.
Was it the coal? Last one they touched?
It might have been.
Sad.
Okay, so he's trying to break through. This is where I got confused. I read it a couple times, trying to like really figure it out. I don't know. It's complicated. Hector's being described as like in the chariot, which we know is before that valley thing that he had. They left all their chariots to go storm the wall of the last fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of being described in my mind as both being in that chariot, kind of giving commands, but also in the front lines, but not always in the front lines. And this is kind of where the Homer nods come in as the book 13 wraps up. You're like, what's Hector doing here? Doesn't really make sense. And there's the specific Homer nods line, which is a really sick academic burn. It comes from this image that we get. And at once set off like some snow-clad mountain. The translator did not like that line. Because mountains don't set off. So what's Homer fucking doing here?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
What?
You mean that's saying that the mountains are like taking off on an adventure?
Yeah.
Okay. Set off.
It's like, what am I supposed to think of?
The wee man.
An avalanche? This doesn't make any sense, Homer.
Hmm.
What did I pay all this money for?
Maybe he took a couple sips of the old
Maybe he took a little Zin.
whiskey. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was on his third beer and some guy at the bar is like, "Do you want to try Zin?"
Yeah, and then he was on a nice little snoot buzz,
Sure.
right? And was, nicotine can fuck you up, bro.
Sure. Make you poop.
Yeah, it really does get things going, though.
So we get also a great Paris line where now Hector's definitely in the front lines. I don't know where he was before. He was both at his chariots and in the front line somehow. But now he's definitely helping Paris.
Poof.
And this is where it's a great reputation line, right? Have you ever had like a reputation?
What do you mean?
I never had like a strict reputation. Like I was known as like that guy.
Oh,
I was never
like
consistent enough to
having
have
a reputation to uphold.
like people assume something of you.
Well,
Well,
let me tell you a little something.
yeah, I would like to hear this.
Okay. When I was a senior in high school, I don't even know who started this rumor, but my vice principal, who knew me very well, Miss Gillespie, she pulled me in like 3 weeks prior to us graduating, and she was like, I just want to let you know that all the police officers that are going to be at the graduation know who you are, and if you do streak, you will be arrested. So she was like preemptively telling me that if I streak, like that rumor went around my school that I was going to streak at our...
Whoa.
That was the reputation that I had
Okay.
in high school.
Did you streak?
Dude, I do not have that confidence. Are you kidding me?
They're crazy.
If I had a Willem Dafoe
There
dong,
you go. A monstrous.
If I had a Willem Dafoe dong, I would probably maybe have, but that's not what's going on, man. And that's fine. I love and accept myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So expectations. what were we talking about? We were talking about
Reputations.
Reputations. Yeah, sometimes I don't necessarily appreciate when I have to feel like I have a reputation to uphold.
Sure. I was thinking this whole time before this moment that I did not have a reputation, but like I for sure 100% did do. Which
Did do?
like I had one, but
Maybe
I still
we
also
all
have
do,
one.
right?
We do. And that's important. It's important to do when you need to.
We all have a reputation to do, which is actually true. True.
It's true. Mine was don't hand Kevin the aux cord because he's gonna bum us out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you would probably put on some Bon Iver when everyone's like...
Yeah, or like the most art music I could find that day that I was like obsessed with. Like this is now all.
Who was the person who wore the swan dress to Bjorn? Or was there Bjork?
I love Bjork.
Yeah, me too.
I got some Bjork stories for sure. Like
I
late
bet
at night,
you-
everyone's like going crazy. I'm like, can I show you guys Wanderlust?
Emotional.
No, it's
Yeah.
Wanderlust and Venus as a Boy. Oh, I love a good Venus as a Boy. It's a great song. Anyway, she's a treasure.
Have you ever heard of this band called The Band?
The band.
We called ourselves The Band.
I may not watch the new Bob Dylan movie because
I'm watching that.
because I'm worried of how they're going to portray the
I don't
band.
care about any of that. I'm seeing the movie.
That's not true, but I like to.
I'm seeing it. Me
I like
and
to
Aaron are
pretend.
absolutely seeing that.
For sure. Okay. Reputation. See, we got back there perfectly.
Have fun editing this episode, Kevin.
Perfect segment. So Hector just walks up to Paris while Paris has been fucking fighting. Like he has been putting in the work. And Hector walks up and he's like, "What's up, shitbag? You not doing anything again?" Like just it was no filter. Does not even say hi to his brother, who his brother could have been dead because he's been fighting. And he just walked up to him and was like, "Fuck you. I know you're not doing shit." And Paris responds with, "I wasn't born wholly a weakling," which is really good. I wasn't born weak. I have like a little bit of valor left in me, which I appreciate.
He wasn't born weak. He just became weak.
What he's saying is, yeah, I'm mostly a coward, which I can really relate to because in a battle, I am going to be a coward for sure. 80% of me.
Based on the fact
How
that
much I
your
don't want to die.
dad yelled at you when you wrestled bad once.
No, I just don't want to die.
Hmm.
I love being...
Does that mean that you would be... Wouldn't that mean you would be good at it?
Yeah, I'd be really good at running away. I'd be so good at running away.
Retreating.
Slowly.
Yeah.
At a moderate pace.
What if you're like those Russians, though, where they shoot you if you retreat?
Well, that's my issue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid Russia.
Yeah.
We will not go play a show in Russia currently.
No.
Even if invited.
No Battle Buddy shows in Russia coming up anytime soon.
I do like also Paris here. He gives also a little one-liner about trying to understand your strength and like where you are, which Paris is having to do a lot these days because he sucks compared to his brother, and he's caused a lot of people to die for 10 years. So he says, "Beyond their strength, none can fight, however eager." Which I want more people to understand. You're not just going to do it the day of. You're not just going to show up.
You have to practice.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
You have to practice and know where you're at.
Hmm.
You gotta be a little realistic about this. You're not going to jump the building.
Okay.
You're going to jump from building to building. You've never done it. When you do jump with your toddler, you fall and hurt yourself. You're not going to show up and be like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I'm going to lock it in. You're going to crash out.
Yeah, let's put this in student terms, right?
Yes.
Like how do we as how does this
all,
relate
all
to
my,
teachers?
This is all day. Students not
Tell me.
doing the practice. We're free writing. We're generating ideas. We're list writing. Time for the essay. Like, I'm just going to do it.
I'll be fine.
No, you're not.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's like these people who want to just become YouTube stars, you mean?
Yes.
I don't want to do anything. I just want
Right.
to be YouTube famous. That's how it happens, right?
And are you humble enough to look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm not actually funny right now?
Yeah. That's painful, dude.
It's hard.
Dude, sometimes truth is so painful, and that's like so... Oh my gosh.
But we aren't born with it. I've been talking a lot about this
Tell me,
with kids.
we're not born with what?
With embarrassment. So you and
Shame.
I think shame is good to a certain
Yes,
degree. We'll talk
of
about
course.
shame
There
today.
is
actually.
value to it.
There is value. There is a functional,
Mhm.
pragmatic value in shame
Mhm.
that is overlooked these days.
Agreed.
But embarrassment, we are not born with it, and it is overall unhealthy for your ego. My evidence for this: kids learning to walk, they're really bad at it. They fall constantly. When they're learning to talk, they're also very bad at it.
Mhm.
But they practice, and they don't care that they're bad at it. And if something happens when they're 3, and they're 4, and they're 5, and they're 13, and all of a sudden they don't want to be bad at things anymore. And they're not born with that.
Because of embarrassment?
Because of embarrassment.
Hmm. I was thinking you were going to go somewhere deeper with that.
It's pretty deep. If you let it, to me, because I get kids not free writing or not list writing, the things that are proven to do it. And it's because they don't want to be bad at it. I've never done a free write. What if my ideas are stupid? Who fucking cares? Then just close your book. No one's going to read your book, dude. It's your book.
They're worried about embarrassment.
Yes.
Hmm.
But they're not shamed. Then they go do something very shameful.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, that's a weird thing to do. But they don't think that they're bad at it. So
That's the only qualifier.
That's
you
the only
have to be good
qualifier.
or bad at something.
look at us separating embarrassment from shame.
Okay.
I like this. So that's book 13. We're there. Wait, did you have anything else? I cut you off on this. Embarrassment.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We go now to the sexy book. Book 14.
Oh, dude, he's got a gif of people holding their fingers.
That's a pretty sensual gif.
Yeah. I wonder what that's from. Looks like it's from Schindler's List or something.
Looks like it's from that. What was that black and white movie? Sin City?
Yeah, it could be that with the artist.
The Artist.
It's a good movie.
Okay, we'll get to the sexiness soon. We just have a couple quick housekeeping things that happen at the beginning of the book. We get this motif, this theme of the spear as a staff, which is kind of cool. So the spear, wounded people use spears to hold themselves up in this book, which makes sense, right? But we also get dead people being forced up by spears going through them into the ground. And I think Homer is definitely trying to make you see both as parallels, and just the idea that the spear is more than the spear. And sometimes you use it to hold yourself up, and sometimes it's used against you.
Kill you.
Yeah. And they even have one guy kind of boasting, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing a real good job standing there, fuckface," because he got speared into the ground, so he was dead, but not fully falling down yet. And and he thought it was really funny.
Yeah. That's pretty dark.
There's a lot of boasting
Humor.
like that. Hey, at least you'll have some company down in Hades.
Dang.
Brother for a brother.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. It's not going well for the Greeks. It's starting to push against them, right? Hector's very close to the ships. He wants to touch their boats. We have Nestor, we have Agamemnon, we have Diomedes, and we have Odysseus. They all got wounded last episode. And they're all standing on top of a boat with a spear in hand as a staff, and they're just watching, and they're like, holy shit, this is about to be so bad. Agamemnon suggests that they put all their boats into the sea that they can. They can't put all of them because I think they had like to do a single file thing with the boats. It's a little complicated, but not all the boats are like near enough the water to get into the water. But he wants to put as many of them as they can, anchor them in the bay, and then leave that night. It's obviously a dumb plan. I don't know why Agamemnon says stupid things in front of his lieutenants, because they don't like him for it. Odysseus gets really mad. He says, "Son of Atreides!" Atreides, every time. Damn it.
Is that like a curse word? Son of Atreides.
That's a Dune reference. Son of Atreus, what words have escaped the barrier of your teeth? Later on, he says, "I wholly despise your thinking in what you just said for telling us when warfare and combat are in progress." Which is, Odysseus has a way with words. I love what words have escaped the barrier of your teeth. They've said that a few times in this book, and every time, like, damn, that'd be really good to throw out sometimes.
Have you used it yet?
No, I haven't used it yet. I don't know the right time and the right person to use it to.
When do you think that would work?
Yeah,
Can you give me an example of when that would work in your life?
No, I keep thinking it's going to be obvious,
Come
and
on,
it's
man.
never been obvious to me.
Come on, man. Dig deep.
Damn it. What words have escaped the barrier of your teeth? You know what? I should use it when kids ask to go potty for this.
See, I knew it was there. When a kid asks to go potty, what do you say?
What words have escaped the barrier of your teeth?
See?
I want to use, the next time someone says it, I've gotten close to, I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to someone who rises and sleeps from the very blanket of freedom which I provided, then question the manner in which I provide it.
Damn, how long did it take you to remember that?
I don't know, I've watched the movie a lot.
What was the other one that you wanted me to ask that we wanted me to use
Yeah.
that we never talked about?
We never talked about it or used it again.
Yeah.
Good. It's a lot of work doing a podcast.
It really is. It really is.
So Diomedes is Diomedes, who I thought was kind of a meathead, he seems to be the only one that's actually thinking through everything. And he's like, hey, we may be wounded. We can still lead the troops. And for him, it's like a big revelation because he's a young guy, I guess, compared to the other ones. He's like, we can just tell them where to go. We don't have to physically lead them. It's kind of wild. So he's obviously getting older in this moment.
Wise
Yep.
man.
So that's all the human stuff for a while. Now we're going to get romantic here.
Insert some Marvin Gaye.
Yep. The issue is that Poseidon is helping the Greeks, and Zeus is not going to like that. Zeus doesn't want anybody interfering anymore. He's been very clear about that. So Hera comes up with a little plan. She goes to Aphrodite, and Aphrodite likes the Trojans, right? Aphrodite is the reason why Paris even has Helen. There's a whole other thing, but Paris gets like an apple and it says to the fairest, and then he gives it to, or he says that Aphrodite gets it because Aphrodite promises him the prettiest woman in the world, which is Helen.
Did I just make the connection that the word aphrodisiac comes from Aphrodite?
Yes.
Got it.
Language. It's crazy.
Words.
So Aphrodite can't really say no. Hera kind of comes up with a lie about trying to get these sea gods back together and get them to have sex again or something. But
What does it sound like when sea gods have sex?
you know what? That's a joke, but actually, I love that lady's description in Circe of the river gods talking. And I bet it'd be similar. Like the rolling of stones underwater. So Aphrodite gives Hera bottled lust. Nobody can resist this bottled lust.
Bottled lust.
I don't know.
It's tequila.
Yeah,
It's a bottle of tequila.
it's a bottle of tequila for sure. And we get more cultural stuff, right? We're talking about the ship wood.
Tequila.
They love tequila. Hera is like flying around trying to talk to these different gods and get the bottled lust and stuff. And it seems like she's going in a circle. The translator of this book talks about it. But if you remember, Spencer and I read a book called The Great Mortality about the Black Death. And when you look at the spread of the Black Death, it doesn't always make sense. until you realize that sailors didn't sail the open water until very, very recently. At least most European sailors. Besides, like, edge cases like Vikings sometimes and shit like that. And so she is traveling, avoiding the open ocean. So she is kind of following what they would have known. They're like, yeah, that's how people would travel, even if you could fly. It wouldn't even have occurred to them that you could fly straight across that ocean. Because the ocean's scary. We don't go there. No one goes
space.
there.
It's space.
Yes, absolutely. It's space. Ooh, that's really good. So she goes and finds the god of sleep. And
The god of sleep?
yeah,
What is the god of sleep's name?
sleep. He has a brother.
It's a telltale sign, huh?
His brother is death. So he's sleep, he's death. Interesting that death and Hades are not the same person.
They're not the same
No,
person.
not the same person.
Well, that makes sense.
Sure.
So sleep is the Sandman.
Yes. And Hera comes up to him and says, I need you to put Zeus, my husband, to sleep after I have sex with him.
Yeah, he just yaps his mouth. He just won't shut up.
Did you? How great was that? Was that really good for you? That was really good for me.
Tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am.
Whoa.
Tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am.
Where is this coming from?
That's Zeus.
You think? But I mean, I've never heard of. Is this how people are? Are people like this after coitus?
That's how Zeus is.
No,
I'm just imagining him in
Zeus
bed.
rapes too many people. to care.
Oh God.
It comes up. It's rough.
All right.
So the god
dig
of
in.
sleep says no, because last time you had me do this to him, he got really mad at me and like threw me places and stuff. Because Zeus is always like throwing people different places and stuff like that. And so she says, it's fine. You don't have to worry. But also, I'll give you one of the graces that you want. And you can put her in wedlock. Where I didn't know that's what that word really meant until that moment. Wedlock, like having sex out of wedlock. Wedlock, you're locked into a wedding, locked into marriage, meaning that it's probably against the bride's will.
Oh.
Because she locked a grace into a wedding with him.
So sex before wedlock is a pretty problematic sentence.
Yes. Us using wedlock and not
Don't
knowing
do that.
I'm gonna try not
We're
to use wedlock
officially
anymore.
done with the word wedlock.
Fuck wedlock.
Okay.
I'm not locking anybody in. It's
Fair
crazy.
enough.
That's crazy.
That's an antiquated way to say some shit.
Yes.
That's crazy.
They're trying to take away our words now, Kevin.
Okay, so she gets her things. Zeus. So Hera walks up to Zeus. Little saunter. And Zeus says, holy shit. I want you incredibly badly right now. Because
She's hot for her?
She like bathed herself in like olive oil. She put this like bottle of lust
Buddy's
all
just
over
getting
her.
steamy right now.
And she just like walks up to him, I assume naked. Like in these paintings, she's walking up topless.
No.
which
Don't assume, dude.
Very effective.
Paint like a picture for the listener.
Very effective. Well, I really like this painting that we have here in our bottom left corner because she's topless, but to make sure that you understand that's her breast, they have her hair framing it, but also her hand and his hand, which the painter enjoyed that moment.
Yeah.
It's fine. So she shows up to Zeus.
There we go.
And he says, man, you're for me. I like you. And he says the really romantic thing of, here's a list of all the women I've raped.
No.
Yeah. And it's a pretty long list. And then he says, and I want you more than I wanted all of them. Which it didn't work. Like she wasn't sudden. The narration didn't say, and then her mind changed and it turns out she loves Zeus.
And then she was very turned on.
Yeah. So she tries to get him into a secret room she has. She has like the special room where only she has the key, even a god can't get out. And he's like, I love you, wife, but I'm not going into your dungeon room. So instead, I'm going to make a golden cloud for us to have sex on, and no one can see us in front of everybody, essentially. And she can't really say no to that because he's Zeus.
Oh.
And this is kind of what she wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But I was thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, if your wife I'll go at this personally. If my wife came up to me and said, I'm planning to mess with you and your plans, but first I'll sleep with you, and then I'll put you to sleep for an extended period of time while I mess up your plans, I'd probably still take it. Like,
I would say 9 out of 10 men would probably take it.
You're such an interesting person. I wonder what you're going to do.
I'd be like,
You keep me lively.
Go for it.
Right?
Have fun.
I like that life's not boring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think
it's fun.
a lot of men would take that. It's the ultimate question, like where we know that men and women are different, where like, if on your first date, do you remember your first date with Hannah?
Yeah, we climbed a hill.
Okay, how about this? Wait.
In back of it. We were like 18.
Okay, let me rewind. Let me start over.
Thank you.
Do you remember the first time that you became one with Hannah?
Yes, this is something I'm going to definitely talk about on the podcast right now. With my private wife. Okay, so then Zeus goes to sleep. We're definitely not cutting a bunch of failed sex jokes right here.
Sex jokes are hard. Well, there was also... The preamble was rape, so...
Yeah, that's the thing!
It's really only downhill from there, if we're being completely honest.
The best part of this is I practiced some of these with Hannah, and the best I could get from her was like a half smile, and I was like, I don't know if it's the execution or the content. And her face said both.
Listen, it's like this. Like, I remember the first night that I made love to my sweet wife, right? If she came up to me that first night and was like, hey, we can still do this, but I did have explosive diarrhea in the bathroom, I'd be like, I don't give a shit, right? Whereas I think that if it was turned around, like if she was like, hey, we're gonna be like, hey, everything's good, but I had just explosive diarrhea, she'd be like, we can just wait. It's fine. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's where I think it's like that for Zeus. And
I'm glad you got there.
Thank you. I was just trying to figure out how to delicately express a sex joke and then bring diarrhea into the mix.
Explosive diarrhea. Woo! So anyway, none of this is important.
No.
Except for that with Zeus asleep, Poseidon then leads the Greeks as himself, which is kind of wild. And I may be misreading.
He's not in a...
he's not in a disguise. Like, he's just like straight up Poseidon, and he has like a Poseidon sword, which everybody's like, is that fucking Poseidon sword?
And he looks all watery and Poseidon-y.
Yep.
He's doing his thing. Okay.
There is a part here that's stupid, though, is right before they go out, he essentially says, everyone go get new gear. And even the translator puts a little note there being like, we're supposed to assume that they can just walk away from this epic fight for a second and put on new gear again and then go walk back out like this. Come on, Homer. Which I like. I like that this 90-year-old man that's translating this book is a little upset with him. He was old.
Homer falls asleep.
Homer nods. All right, they start to clash. Hector does hit Ajax with a spear, but it doesn't pierce him. Ajax hits Hector with a big-ass rock, and Hector gets hit so hard he starts to spin like a top, which is fun. Then
It's very Looney Tunes.
It is very Looney Tunes. Then they have to pick up Hector. They run him to a river. He's coughing up blood. They're like, I don't think he's going to die, but this dude is gone. Like, he has no idea what's going on. And he's just sitting there coughing blood. Just wondering where he is and who he is. Which isn't good. So, with Poseidon leading the troops, obviously, the Trojans retreat back to the chariot. So, they go back past the wall, and then past the little ditch thing, get to their chariots, which we talked about last episode, were ready and waiting for them. We get some god drama. I'm not going to get into it because if you're not really into the mythology side of it, it is tedious. But if you're into the mythology side of it, look it up. It's kind of fun. Eventually, though, Poseidon agrees to leave. And Apollo heals Hector. Like, that's the solution to the problem, is we'll bring Hector back in, and Poseidon will fuck off before Zeus kills him. Kind of. We don't know. I think Zeus can probably beat Poseidon, but it's not as clear as the other gods. Hector then prepares to charge the ships. He wanted to touch that boat. And the Greeks figure it out. They form a battle line, and they start to protect the ships. Let's go away from these sexy photos here. Boom! So the lines approach one another. But here, when I'm reading the narration, this is the thing that I talk about every time we talk about ancient warfare. Do the actual lines touch? Like, do they touch tips or do they leave a gap? That's my big question in all of these ancient conflicts. And what I'm coming to the realization is I think it fucking depends. Like, I think it depends on how the conflict is structured for that moment. In that if people as smart as we have today are alive back then, absolutely they would have different styles of engagement. So why am I thinking that they have to have it a simplified, this is the only way that we fight? So in this way, it definitely seems like there's a gap right now. Now, this could just be a literary device, but we've looked at enough ancient stuff to where I think that there's a case for potentially having a little like Death Valley kind of maneuver. And they're just fucking firing missiles at each other. They're just throwing spears and they're throwing javelins and they're shooting arrows, both sides. Apollo unleashes panic on the Greeks, and panic does his job, so the Greeks start to rout, right? The Greeks are losing it. They are then the Trojans are able to chase. They go back in through the wall. So we've left the wall. We come back through the Greek wall. And Hector tells his men that he will kill any Trojan looting bodies and deny them a burial. This is a really big deal, denying the burial part. So in most of these fights that we've been talking about, warriors stop to strip armor as much as they can risk. And sometimes they die for it because it's that valuable. Mm-hmm. It's their livelihood, mm-hmm. right? And and their better gear and all that all those reasons. It would be really tempting if I had no morals to be like, oh, I can upgrade my shoulder blades there.
Of course.
Yeah, sure. And so him saying like, don't do it, I'll fucking kill you right where you stand. I won't even talk to you. I'll just stab you in the back. And then he says he'll deny them the burial. And the burial is very important in the Greek culture.
I think it's important in a lot of cultures.
It is. And even in America, I was thinking we have superstitions around it about no man left behind, right? Like it's a big deal.
Of course, dude. There's somebody in Washington, D.C. looking over a tomb called the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Sure.
Like it's a massive deal, dude.
That's a good reference. But it's interesting because ours is with the separation of church and state, our supposed separation. Whereas this one, the religion is tied into the culture. And so it has that religious moment as well.
Yeah, we would just be considering this to be just respect.
It's just respect, the utmost respect. But there is a religious respect in it as well. It's just we can't say it's religious. It's that secular spiritualism I talk about, right? That there is a spiritualism in all things, like that humans create, like in laws and stuff. Yeah. There's a spiritual component. It's just that it's not religion, and so if I call it spiritualism, you'll mistake it as a religion, and then we get all fucking confused, and so we can't say it. But like,
it's there.
It's there. It's more than respect. It's about like who you were and who you might have become after the whole thing about Anyway, secular spiritualism, man. Okay, the fighting is tight. There's no clear pusher, so like neither side's really able to push the other side as they start to close in. We get two different sets of inspiration for the two different sides, which is fun. Hector is going to inspire his men by telling them that they're defending their homes. They're defending their wives from getting killed. Like, if they lose, this is what's at stake, which is a good inspiration for me anyway. Like, yes, because that's the 20% bravery that I think I have would be your kids are going to, like Hannah's going to get hit if you don't do something. Like, I guess I got to do something then.
Yeah.
Guess I got to go get hit by some shit.
That'll be motivating.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
But Ajax inspires his men by reminding them that they are fucked if Hector touches their boats. He says, "My friends, be men now. Let shame into your hearts. Feel shame before one another in this violent conflict." I see that.
Feel shame for one
another.
Feel
shame. Let it in. Let in that feeling. Look at your friends. If you walk away, that feeling will multiply.
Nice.
Like do not let down the guy next to you. That's a phalanx, right? The phalanx only works if that's how you're thinking.
Don't be a pussy.
Don't be a pussy. Ajax, he's seeing that the Trojans are getting real close to his boats. He starts running and leaping from one boat to another.
Oh, that's really happening.
Yeah, he's literally hopping from boat to boat. We got this AI picture here we were trying to create of a giant Ajax, but I wanted like a funny, like him like jumping boats to boats.
Yeah, not an epic one.
And he has like a giant pike, which is 22 cubits big. Let's look at, I forgot to.
Cubits.
Cubits, that's the measurement they use. So that would be a 33-foot pike that he's swinging around.
Really?
While he's jumping boat to boat.
That's absurd.
It was meant for sea battles, it said. So he's crazy. He also has a shield that's the size of like his whole body on his other arm.
That's insane.
He's crazy. But Ajax is fun. That's a fun character. Kind of toward the end of book 15 and the book 16. Things are happening. Hector does touch a boat. He has his hand on like the stern of the boat, and he just won't let go. He's not doing anything with it, but he's letting everybody know, I'm touching your boats.
Oh no.
I'm touching your boats. And he keeps yelling for people to get him fire, and the people are getting fire, and the Greeks are like furiously putting out the fire or throwing the fire. But Zeus had set up a plan that he will let Hector push this battle today until the first fire hits the first ship. So right now it's looking like the Trojans are just going to win the whole thing today clean. But that is not to be so.
Twist.
So we get in book 16, we get Patroclus. Patroclus.
Is that a Clueless gif?
Yeah, do you like the Clueless gif? I was wondering if you're going to get the Clueless.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the
Little
Clueless
montage, little dressing montage.
gif.
Right?
Got it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So, Patroclus, if you don't remember, that's Achilles' best buddy and pal. And husband? No. Something.
Bromance.
Yeah,
Can we say that?
sure.
Is that legit? Do they have a bromance?
Well,
Or are they fucking each other?
but like, can't gay people also have romances with their lovers?
They definitely
They
can.
definitely can. It's awesome.
Yeah. Because dude, technically a man and a woman can also have a bromance.
Whoa, you're thinking lady bromance?
100%. I have been with girls where it's like, you're kind of more of a dude. You're like more of a bro.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you?
I do. It sounded much better when you said you're kind of a bro. For some reason, when you said you're kind of more of a dude, I was like, this just doesn't sound as good in 2024. This sounds like
You're more
antiquated.
of one of my bros.
No, I get it. As soon as you said it the other way,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got it. I was like, that's it. But that was interesting that the words carry different connotations. I didn't realize that for myself.
Yeah, well, growing up in Fairfield, we used to call a lot of the girls here in Vacaville bro-hos.
Broho was the term.
So you're familiar with this?
Yes.
That's what that is.
Mm.
That's a friend that you,
Mm.
a friend of the opposite sex that you essentially fuck.
Sure. I never understood them.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
All right, back to Patroclus. Going some North Bay lore here about brohos
Yeah,
and their straw hair.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Straw hair.
It is. It just looks
Bro.
like straw. Like, what's wrong with
Yeah,
this?
for real.
So Patroclus gets this idea. He got the idea from Nestor a while ago, and then other people have he's kind of been like feeling out the ideas to other people of, what if I just like wore Achilles' armor? Would that be crazy if I just wore his armor?
That seems like that's a big no-no.
And I mean, it kind of works.
Seems like a risky move.
It is a little bit of a risky move,
Yeah.
but Patroclus is not. It's hard for me to gauge because I feel like the book's slightly inconsistent with how we're supposed to see him. Kind of like Paris. Paris is inconsistent because sometimes he's mainly a weakling, but every once in a while, like in this
Yeah,
episode today, like he's kind
he
of,
can shoot arrows.
and he was kind of like just hitting people and leading people, and he was doing his job.
And he had zingers.
And he had zingers, and they were honest zingers, and they were candid. And I was like, "You're trying to make me fall in love with you right
Yeah,
now, dude?
Paris,
Come on,
bro.
dude!
This is so unlike you. Prison changed you.
You're so charismatic right now." So he had first tried to get Achilles to go back in. Achilles, his reasoning is kind of wacky. It's essentially that he knows that it's getting pretty close to where he should probably step in at some point. But he's still pretty mad at Agamemnon for not coming personally and apologizing and for taking his spear wife. Spear maiden, I think he called her, whatever. The woman that he rapes.
That one.
And Achilles, he kind of likes the idea. He's like, oh, I get this. Because then we save the day, but it's not me, so we can still all live within the boundaries of these random rules that I'm setting out right now in real time. Which is fine. He tells Patroclus to only scare the exhausted troops off. Because Patroclus' whole idea is, sure, I'm not you. But they've been fighting for like 2 days. And if we remember the last episode and today's episode, the back and forth has been crazy, right? Like they started from behind the ditch in the wall and they broke through the wall and then they got pushed all the way back and then they pushed all the way forward again. We're talking about hours here because these are phalanx marches. So these aren't quick things. These are slow grinding kind of things. And the word grind is used to describe these conflicts for these last 3 books.
Truly? Like the word grind?
The word grind, like the wars grind, the battles grind.
That's
because
not good.
It's not good when that's starting to be used. What if you could read while you're in a conflict what historians write about it 50 years from now and you start seeing the word grind, you're like, oh, fuck. This is about to get so bad for us.
It's not going to be good, guys. This is where it's going to just be, people are going to die. People are going to die. We might run out of cigarettes.
You definitely run out of cigarettes.
You know what I mean?
No one's rationing them when you're in a grind.
No.
So he's like, if everyone's so exhausted, I'll just scare them all off. Like I could do that with the Myrmidon because the Myrmidon are fucking terrifying. And there's like 250 of them and we can just wreck house for a little bit. Achilles like, this is a good idea. I like how he tries to keep Patroclus in line. He says, if you do more than what we're agreeing to right now, you're going to diminish my honor because you're wearing my armor. Because you're representing me, and so if you do things not at the level that I do them at, it makes me look bad, and, you know, like, we're best friends. And so, don't fuck this up for me, dude. Which I like. That's a good hook into somebody, like a persuasion hook. I kind of use that with my kid, like, hey, like, you represent me, like, you know, like, do it right. Do it how I would do it.
You say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting. I don't know if that's the example I was going to use when I first heard you say that. Say it again.
I don't always like it, but I kind of try to tell my kid, like...
Yeah, but say it from the book. Say how he says it.
Okay. So he says, you can scare off the exhausted troops, but no more. And basically what he's saying is that if Patroclus tries to do more, if Patroclus tries to, like, run down Hector in the chariot or try to take the walls, like, try to take Troy that day, that he's going to diminish Achilles' honor because it's going to look like Achilles failed to do those things. Because Achilles, I like it because it's like 4D chess, right? He's saying this, but what he's really saying through the doublespeak is, I don't want you to die because I love you. And so the way I get you to not die is to get you to not overextend. The biggest hook that I have in you is that you love that I have my you know how much my honor means to me. So if I come at it from that way, then maybe you'll do the right thing.
Got it.
I like that. That's a very clever relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like how we try to help each other by kind of manipulating each other, but like in good ways.
Positive manipulation. That's an interesting way to look at that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he is technically manipulating. He's technically not being honest, but the persuasion is not bad and it's not malicious.
Interesting. Manipulation doesn't have to be evil.
Right.
That's not something that I had considered.
Well, it's rhetoric, right? Because rhetoric doesn't have it's a neutral thing. That's the danger of it.
Interesting.
But rhetoric is just being persuasive. And so as long as you are trying to be good with it, then your persuasion, but then you get into murky territory.
Was that the layman definition of rhetoric would be like persuasion?
Yeah, the art of persuasion, like how persuasion really works. Cicero. So then we get Achilles giving one last lament, because Achilles can't get away without one last lament. How much I wish, Zeus, Father, Athene, and Apollo, that not one out of all of the Trojans might escape death, nor a single Argive, but that only we two should not perish, and together alone should loosen Troy's sacred diadem. Basically, what Achilles is saying right there is he's giving a sacrifice to Zeus and like praying. And what he's saying is, I'm so sick of this that I wish every Trojan died. And I'm also so sick of this that I'm cool with all Greeks dying too. I literally just want me and Patroclus left.
So not being hyperbolic.
I don't think he's being hyperbolic. I think he's literally done with everybody.
Oh.
Because he was just about to sail home. He was about to leave the whole thing. He's so sick of them taking his property.
Okay.
Which is a woman that he killed and captured.
Right. Rightfully his. It's fair and square.
Fair and square. Whew. So we get a description of the fire hitting the first boat, which is going to set off Patroclus then getting the armor, which I like though, because this is another, how do you invoke your muse? So the way that it's described by Homer and these other authors is essentially like, even when you're writing, like you literally invoke them. Like you have to invoke them to do the thing. So you say, tell me now, you muses, whose homes are on Olympos, how fire first came to be flung on the Achaean ships.
So he's summoning the muses to
Explain this history. Like, how did the fire happen? I don't see it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's cool.
And do the muses show up? Do they explain?
Well, when he keeps writing, that's your signal that the muses are talking through him.
Got it.
Yeah. So then there's fire on the ship. I don't know. They threw fire and it touched the ship. And then we get our little movie montage here. That's why we have the clueless lineup. Patroclus, there's a whole scene of Patroclus getting dressed in Achilles' armor.
You're the best. All right.
It really is. But it's like funny too, because he's not Achilles and everyone's clear that he's not Achilles. So it's like, oh, you're the best almost around. Like even Zeus, when Patroclus is almost going to kill a guy, and Zeus is like, does this guy really have to die to Patroclus? Like, dude, you're Zeus. Just let them do what they're going to do.
Yeah, go rape someone, Zeus.
While Patroclus is getting dressed, Achilles gets all of his troops ready. Which, again, this just shows how much Achilles loves Patroclus. Like, I'm not going to let Patroclus die if I can help it. So there's 250 Myrmidon. There's 5 captains. These 5 captains have all been promoted from the conflict over the last 10 years. So, like, all these guys are trusted guys. And Achilles just fucking, like, lays into them. Like, you guys are all talking shit about me not going out to fighting, and that's saying that I'm, like, dumb and not doing all the stuff the way that you would do it. Well, now's your fucking chance. Go do this and make it right. And it worked. Like, they all got, like, really fired up, which I get, right? You have from all the stories that I've heard from you and the other veterans, you're all trained to do a job, and you're sitting around not being allowed to do your job, and then some guy says, all right, I know you all fucking hate me because I'm not letting you do your job. Go do your job then. You're going to go do your job. You're going to go do it, like, really well. Like, you're going to show him why you can do it.
Finally.
Yes. And again, we get the description of their formation being so tight that their helmets are all touching each other. Like, the plume on their helmets are touching each other because they're so, like, compact and just unstoppable. Which the movie Troy did pretty well with them on the beach scene. Like, they had their phalanx look pretty good. When we get Achilles giving an offering to Zeus, because he's trying to do everything he can to keep Patroclus alive, we get I had like an interesting thought about it, which was, the book Thinking Fast and Slow, which I've talked about a number of times. The idea that we shouldn't always trust our quick brain, our experiencing self, but we should really try to tap into that slower thinking whenever we can. And that's kind of what you do when you pray. Right? So when Achilles prays, he has a cup that he brought, his mom gave him, and this cup is only for sacrificing to Zeus. It doesn't have any other function. So he has to go into his, his locker, his chest, and pull it out. Then he has to clean it with sulfur, and then he has to pour the libation in it, the wine, and then he has to say his prayer, then he has to dump it out as an offering. All of that is slow.
100%.
And all praying is slow. And so the idea, like subconsciously or unconsciously or spiritually, a lot of praying is stopping your experiencing self from making the dumb choice. Like, did I actually think through everything right
Yep.
now?
In the mornings when I have my me time in my garage and I do my workouts, I'll listen to some music, and then after my workout, my heart rate is all up and I'm feeling like great. I will say out loud in the garage by myself things that I know that I have to do that day.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Like just to
Little speech act.
slow down.
Sure.
And be like, and for all intents and purposes, that's kind of probably chemically in my brain the same as praying.
Sure.
Like I'm just speaking out something intentions.
Sure.
Right?
I like this.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I like you, dude.
You're pretty cool, man.
You're cool, dude.
Let's just turn our podcast into like a honey roast.
Is
Saying nice things about each other.
that what that's called, a honey roast?
Yeah. Okay, the fight then starts getting bloody. Hector has to retreat. So the Myrmidon come in with Patroclus on a chariot, and they're wrecking. They're fresh. They could not be any fresher than everybody else. We also get, and I had to kind of, take a hit to my ego because I want to make fun of the horses and all the horse listings. But we have a reason for it, which is so obvious if we would have stopped laughing at how dumb it was, which is running down other chariots. It matters if your horse is faster than the other guy's horse. You only travel as fast as a horse can go. There's nothing, that's the peak of technology for up until very recently is horse travel. And we know from the lists that Achilles has good horses. And so he's able to run down other officers and just take out their chariots and stab them as they're running away. So the fast horse is playing a part in the plot. Sorry, Homer. I didn't get it. I still want to make fun of you because it's really long. It's unnecessarily long.
Yeah, can't we just settle that in a sentence though?
Yeah, sure.
His horse was really fast.
But if it's that big, I was thinking about it, it's like cars and how people are car guys.
Yeah.
Or girls. And they want to talk about their car and it has a history and it's like a thing.
It has horsepower.
It has horsepower.
Yep. It's got this,
got a
the engine
V8.
is this big.
Yep.
There's this many valves, cylinders, right?
My dad tried so hard.
There's leaders involved.
Sure. I know a little bit. I know enough to get myself in trouble on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough.
I don't know enough either. It's all good.
We'll get there. I'm not.
Car buddies.
Not gonna get there.
It's coming soon.
So Hector is able to get away because he also has very fast horses that he promised that guy that died on the night raid. Then we get a little geography. Patroclus and the Myrmidon, they are able to funnel a ton of the Trojans in between the Greek ships, Troy's walls, and that big-ass river. And then he just starts blasting people. Like, he goes full Danny DeVito and just starts having, like, his God moment, kind of. And he's having a great time. He's loving it. So this is a very different Patroclus from Song of Achilles, where he's, like, more introverted and introspective, and he has a well-examined life, which I connected with a lot with that character. Whereas this one's, like, total Danny DeVito, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And then I just started blasting them. Like, okay.
And I don't see so good either.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're just like that, huh? I guess. Although Song of Achilles, I understand why she did put a little bit of that in there. Zeus, we get some description that Zeus is also putting this into Patroclus. Patroclus would follow Achilles any other day of the week, except for that Zeus is putting that passion in him, and you can't deny Zeus's passion once he puts it in you. Once that blood gets a pumping, there's only so much a man can do, I guess. I've never been in a state where after I've killed 5 people, like, no, what I want to do is kill 5 more. Like, let's see how many I can get. So then we get to one of the main officers, Sarpedion.
Sarpedion.
Yep. This is one of Zeus's sons from a woman he raped. Of course. And he really likes Sarpedion.
Bro, we probably have the most risky podcast on Spotify.
Sure. This is great.
Go on with your rape story there, Kevin.
We're not even going to talk about the rape. But Zeus likes Sarpedion. He thinks he's a cool guy.
All right.
And he's having a moment with Hera, and he's like, should I just save this dude so he doesn't have to die to fucking Patroclus? because Patroclus is not worth it. Like, he's not good enough to do this, but I have this battle plan set up, and so I have to let this happen right now. I can't stop Patroclus yet. And Hera's like, if you do that, don't you think all the gods are going to start whisking away all their little sons and daughters?
Mhm.
And then it's going to be kind of crazy for a while? And he's like, all right, I won't do it. But his consolation prize that Hera told him is, why don't you, after he dies, whisk his body away to his family so that they can do burial rites? Because that is as important as keeping him alive. Right? Like, isn't that crazy?
Damn.
This is like wild. So anyway, he's able to kill him. The language is pretty good. And tugged the spear from his flesh, the lungs followed with it. Sarpedion's soul and the spear point he drew out together. So he stabbed the guy's lungs, and when he pulled out his lungs with the spear, his soul also died.
Whoa.
But it's deeper than that. Because do you know where the word inspire comes from?
No.
You just did it. It's breathing in.
Really?
To inspire air.
Whoa.
And inspiration is to breathe in. Exhalation is to breathe out. Inhale, exhale.
Whoa.
All these words are related. So, inspiration, you're breathing in the music. It's all fucking connected, dude.
Whoa.
And we get some other words like the lungs. We get thymos, which also means soul. But then the original meaning of soul from this thymos Greek word meant breath. So when he pulled out the lungs, he was saying he literally pulled out his soul because he pulled out his breath.
Whoa.
That's really good.
Whoa. That's interesting. So I wonder in like the Bible when it says like God breathed,
Yes.
like the words are God breathed or whatever, like that means it's like God's
It's like thought.
soul.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
That's
it's inspiration.
crazy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yes, and everyone, this used to be like common stuff that we would all
Sure.
know.
Yeah. Now everyone just stares at their phones and doesn't listen to podcasts.
Generation. We're all right. I've been reading my kids' essays on this book, this crazy ass book that I keep getting in trouble for. Their essays are so good. It's like,
Oh, cool.
'Cause
This gives you hope for the future.
well, because Hannah's like, "Are you gonna ever do this book?" And I was like, "I think I'm gonna do it again next
Do
year."
you? Good for you, bud.
At least like a choice,
No, you do. Convictions are cool. I've
wouldn't,
decided.
except for that their essays are so good. It's a
That's what I'm saying.
proof's in the
If-
pudding.
If you believe in something and you have like a conviction about something, right? Like if you feel, I like that you're dying on this hill.
not totally, because I am gonna give more. I'm gonna be better about the choices.
You're
ahead of
learning,
time.
but you're like whatever.
I'm not saying the book is all bad, but I do understand that there are problems with it if you are very,
close-minded.
very innocent. No, like I can agree with their descriptions. We disagree on the conclusion about like the purpose of like
Oh,
language. And stuff.
interesting.
So like we both agree the language is intense. My conclusion is that the language is a feature of the plot. Like it makes the plot make more sense, and it's like a feature of understanding the characters of the book. They see it as not serving that function, so it's over the top. It's grotesque. I'm like, okay, like we just have different opinions. That's fine. People.
I'd love to know what the kind of shows and movies they watch on their TV.
So they start to fight over Sarpedion's body. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
No, go on, dude. We're
No.
good.
So Sarpedion's dead. They start to fight over his body. It doesn't get whisked away yet. And fools are just dying over this body. The description is that they're dying over Sarpedion's body like flies on a farmer's milk bucket. So a warm milk bucket at a farm attracting flies, which I imagine is a lot.
Ew.
That's what it's like with all the people jumping on and dying on top of this body.
Damn.
Because Sarpedion has been very good in this war. I've not talked a lot about him, but he's been very successful. He, I think, is the one who actually broke the wall to the Greeks. Like he was the first one over, probably.
Okay.
Patroclus, he kind of gets away, and he goes up to Troy's gates himself. It's kind of a baller move. Like walk up to the gates. And then he starts fucking rock climbing it. And he starts rock climbing, and he gets like knocked down. He does it like 3 times. He's going to scale the wall himself. And Apollo has to come, sit on top of the wall, and scream, "Bitch, you have to move!" And knocks him down completely, letting Patroclus hear a god's voice scream at him.
Really?
Yeah.
Bitch, you have to move.
He didn't say, bitch, you have to move.
Oh, but he did, though.
But he basically did.
Yeah, no, I like it.
It's short and it's intense. And Patroclus, like, oh, okay, I'm not getting up the wall.
And he does.
So he stops. He's like, I'm not getting up this wall. Clearly a god is stopping me, as he just kind of
yelled.
But it's just interesting because sometimes gods do things in disguise. Sometimes they send omens. This is not that. This is a god just talking. Like, you can't do this yet. It's like in a video game. Like, you've not accessed this.
You're not at level 5.
You don't have permission to get to this building.
Once you get to level 5, you go get this key, and then you can go in this building.
Okay, then Patroclus, it's bad. So he's like walking away. He's like, I'm just gonna keep fighting people then, like, cause I'm doing my thing. And the gods start like fucking with him. They push him and they like start unbuckling his gear, and so his armor gets all fucked up. And it's kind of fucked up. Like they're getting ready for him to get killed. And then a Trojan stabs him, I think, in the shoulder. Patroclus is like, oh, it's like that right now. My armor's failing me. Because Achilles' armor shouldn't probably get stabbed like that, but like it's getting all messed up. And he tries to rejoin his ranks, his Myrmidon, and then Hector runs up and stabs him in the belly and kills him.
Is that because he wasn't being like loyal because he's trying to go back to his like rank, or like why?
No, because this is just what Zeus wanted.
Okay. Zeus,
to fulfill the agreement that he gave to Thetis, Achilles' mom, he needed to make sure the Greeks suffered, but ultimately would still be able to win. Because he needs them to still win at the end of this grinding conflict for the earth to have less people in it. So so his plan is for the Trojans to kill most Greeks until they light a fire on the boat. And then once they light the fire on the boat, Patroclus will fight them off until he goes too far, and then Hector will kill him, which will then cause Achilles to then fight Hector.
Dang.
Yeah. This is Zeus's battle plan. That's why he wanted to let Sarpedon live, but then he kept thinking, if I let him live, then it's going to fuck up my plan a little bit too. But we also get, I forgot about this, the painting on the right, we see what supplication looks like. So this is supplication. This is, I think, it's supposed to be Hera, but this looks more like what I saw Thetis do to Zeus, and it's referenced in this book again. What's happening is that Zeus is sitting, and the woman or the man, whoever is supplicating, they put their left hand on the inside of Zeus's right thigh, and then the right hand goes under the chin. And this is like, once you see it in a painting, you're like, oh, this is incredibly intimate. Like, it's almost sexually intimate. Like, you're on the inside of the thigh, you're lifting up their face towards you. It's just like, and maybe it's not even sexual, but it's incredibly intimate.
Yeah. It's like certain dance moves are very intimate, right?
Yes,
They're not
absolutely.
necessarily sexual, but it's like, oh, that's like
You should be comfortable with that person when you do that.
Yes.
Sure. And it made me think back to the last episode when that guy tries to do it to Odysseus, and how I was saying, I wonder if he did it if Odysseus would have been able to deny him. But then we had Diomedes come and stab the guy in the back because he didn't do to Diomedes. And so when I saw it like this would work on me. Like if somebody genuinely did something like this, like a fealty, like cultural thing, like, okay, like, yeah, I'm at least going to hear you out now. Like, this is a humbling moment that you did, right? Because you're humbling yourself in front of somebody in an intimate way. This would work.
Yeah, it would work on me, absolutely.
Like, even if I hated that person, like, all right, what do you got?
Well, I can't speak on the hating thing, but for sure.
Spencer's got no hate.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know if I'd want someone like hate touching my thigh.
Well, that's what I mean, though, but think about that like that. Like,
yeah,
somebody...
It is very submissive.
Yes.
Supplication, no breathing.
There you go. Good throwback.
It's Vacaville, bro.
To our Vacaville, famous in Vacaville moment. Hey, I think somebody from Vacaville was also in Saving Private Ryan.
Whoa, like an extra?
I think he had a death scene where he, like, he's dying and he like talks and stuff.
Vin Diesel.
No. Anyway, it's very important stuff. So next episode's our last one. We're gonna get wackiness first.
This was a pretty wacky episode.
I know.
We went don't judge us based on this episode alone.
No, this shouldn't be your first episode of this.
I know it's a joke. But I'm just saying this. We got pretty out there with it.
I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
It fits the vibe of
what we're doing.
Yes,
Yeah,
it goes
dude.
from battle to gods having sex to battling. It's great.
More 80s music, dude.
Yes.
Well, it's fun. We're having fun here. The Iliad's a complex work of literature.
It's so revealing. Like, you know, it like explains so much now and then, and in so many different ways. Like, as a historical book, there's so much value there. But then as a literary book, like, so many of these tropes that live on, like, let loose the dogs of war. Like, oh, you just say that in 800 BC? Like, okay, like, sure. And they have a lot of phrasings like that. Like, this is just shit we still say.
Perhaps human beings are predictable.
Yeah. Our minds have not changed. It's hard for me. I say it a lot because I don't always believe it when I'm not paying attention. That we have the same minds now that we did then.
Hard to believe.
It's hard to, like,
Hard to-
actually force yourself to think through that over and over again.
Yeah, because I think people confuse, like, because their understanding of certain things were different, that therefore they're, like, dumb.
Right.
You know what
Whereas
I mean?
we see the functionality of, like, mythologies and
Yep.
the idea, I really do think the idea of praying and checking signs, even in battles, like we see all the time, absolutely, it's them. Does this feel right? Like, am I slowing
Dude,
down?
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
do I think this is going to work?
If you having a bad omen that or a superstition before a they're so one of the biggest superstitions in the Marine Corps, right, is charms. This candy in MREs. If you get charms, that was like a omen that you were going to get into combat and die.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, and the Marines took it incredibly
I'm sure.
serious. Yeah,
You don't want to play with that juju.
no,
It's not worth it.
nope.
Okay.
Anyway, that was
So,
awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you were listening, podcasting is hard.
It was really fun. So our next episode will be our ultimate. We get to go through the funeral games, which are wacky and long, but I'll shorten them up a little bit. And then we get the final confrontation between Achilles and Hector. And that'll be a good time.
The final. Hey, what are you going to be covering after this? You thought about that? Where's your heart?
I don't know. I might stay ancient.
You like ancient?
I'm liking the ancient. I think I like the cross between history and literature.
Then keep doing that.
Yeah. But I also want to find... No, I'm not going to say it. I don't know you. But I'm talking to some people. What about you?
I think we might go to the Wild Wild West.
Ooh.
Learn about some gunfighting. Some old school
yeah.
gunfighting.
I do like this.
Yeah.
We're going to the OK Corral.
Who knows? I'll be talking about a lesser known story. It actually turns out.
I like this.
Yeah.
Lesser known stories, we think that they're not cool, and then we did Letty Gulf, and we're like, this is
Fucking
the craziest
amazing.
fucking crazy shit in my life.
Fucking amazing. Yeah. I'm very grateful that we have this.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue doing it. So thank you if you've been here. We appreciate you. And until next time.
Okay, hey.